What would you do if armed robbers stormed into your workplace right now? Scream, hide, run. Maya Carter did none of those things. Instead, this 26-year-old waitress did something so unexpected during a violent robbery that her billionaire boss, a man who'd never even learned her name, stopped everything to find out who she really was. This is her story, and I promise you, by the end of this video, you'll never look at the people serving you the same way again. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, we tell real stories about extraordinary people doing extraordinary things in ordinary moments. And listen, if this story moves you, and trust me, it will, smash that like button and subscribe, because we're just getting started. Maya Carter wasn't supposed to be a waitress at Sterling's, one of Manhattan's most exclusive steakhouses. She was supposed to be a nurse. For 3 years, she'd been grinding through nursing school at night, while working double shifts during the day. She was just 6 months away from her degree when her mother's cancer came back. Stage 4. Aggressive. Expensive. Maya dropped out because someone had to pay for her mother's treatment, and her younger brother's tuition, and the rent on their cramped apartment in Queens. So 5 nights a week, Maya would serve $200 steaks to people who never looked her in the eye. Here's what her co-workers noticed about Maya. She was always calm, eerily calm. When the kitchen was slammed, Maya stayed calm. When entitled customers snapped their fingers at her, Maya stayed calm. It's like nothing rattles her, her co-worker Jessica used to say. I've never seen her panic. Not once. Jessica had no idea why. Now, let me tell you about the man who owned Sterling's. Richard Sterling. Net worth, $4.3 billion. He'd built his empire from nothing. Real estate, tech investments, luxury restaurants across 5 countries. But here's what most people didn't know. He was lonely. His wife had left him 3 years earlier, taking their 2 kids to California. His teenage daughter wouldn't return his calls anymore. His son asked him to stop coming to his soccer games. Money can buy you a lot of things. It cannot buy you back the years you spent building an empire instead of knowing your children. Richard Sterling was successful. He was miserable, and he was completely invisible to the people who worked for him, including Maya, who never knew he was her boss. He was just another wealthy customer who left generous tips and never caused problems. But that changed on October 14th. It was a Thursday night. Maya was working the back section with 4 tables. At table 12, Richard Sterling sat alone with paperwork and a scotch he wasn't drinking. At 9:47 p.m., everything changed. The front door exploded inward. 3 men, ski masks, guns. Everybody down! Now! This is a robbery! The restaurant erupted into chaos. One of the robbers fired a shot into the ceiling to make sure everyone knew this wasn't a joke. This is where most people would panic. But Maya didn't panic, because Maya Carter hadn't always been a nursing student. Before that, Maya had been an army medic. She'd served 2 tours, Iraq and Afghanistan. She'd treated wounded soldiers under fire. She'd learned to stay calm when staying calm was the only thing between life and death. And now, when 3 armed men were robbing the restaurant, Maya's training kicked in. One robber was collecting phones and wallets. The second emptied the register. But Maya was watching the third one. He was sweating, shaking. His gun hand wasn't steady. That's the dangerous one, Maya thought. And she was right. He saw a man at table 7 trying to hide his phone. The nervous robber crossed the room in 3 steps, slammed the gun against the man's head. The man went down. His wife started screaming. Blood poured from his scalp. "Shut up! Shut up, or I'll shoot him!" This is the moment. This is where Maya Carter made a choice that would change everything. She stood up, smooth and calm with her hands visible. Hey! Her voice cut through the chaos. Clear, authoritative. Hey, it's okay. Let me help him. He's bleeding, but he's going to be fine. Just let me stop the bleeding. The nervous robber swung his gun toward her. Get down! I will. I just need to help him first. You don't want anyone dying here tonight. That's murder charges instead of robbery. You don't want that. She was already moving. Slowly. She grabbed clean napkins from the nearby table. What are you doing? I'm a medic. I'm going to apply pressure to his head wound. It looks bad, but it's superficial. 5 minutes, and he'll be fine. You can keep taking what you came for. I'm just going to make sure nobody dies. Something in her voice made the nervous robber lower his gun slightly. Fine. But you try anything. I won't. I promise. Maya knelt beside the injured man, applied pressure to his wound. Sir, you're going to be okay. Keep your eyes on me. What's your name? J. John. Okay, John. You're doing great. Just keep breathing. And across the restaurant, Richard Sterling was watching. One of his employees, a waitress whose name he didn't even know, was defusing the most dangerous person in the room while saving a customer's life. Who was this woman? The robbers got what they came for. 3 minutes after it started, they were gone. The restaurant stayed frozen for 5 seconds. Then everyone started moving at once. Phones out, calling 911, crying. But Maya stayed exactly where she was, keeping pressure on John's wound, till the paramedics arrived 6 minutes later. When they took over, she finally stood up. Her hands were covered in blood. She was shaking now. The adrenaline wearing off. She made it to the kitchen before her legs gave out. Richard Sterling found her there 20 minutes later. He was thinking about that voice, that calm, authoritative voice that had cut through panic and probably saved someone's life. He'd heard that voice before. He just couldn't place where. When he saw Maya sitting on the floor in her blood-stained uniform, something clicked. You're Maya, he said. She looked up, startled. Yes, sir. That was extraordinary. He sat down on the floor next to her. You've been trained. Military? Army medic? 2 tours. That explains it. He paused. That voice. I know your voice from somewhere else. Maya looked confused. I don't think we've ever really talked before, Mr. Sterling. And then it hit him. From the crisis hotline. 3 months ago, Richard Sterling had stood on his penthouse balcony at 2 a.m. and seriously considered jumping. His empire felt meaningless. His kids hated him. Everyone wanted something from him. Nobody actually saw him. He didn't jump. Instead, he called a crisis hotline. The woman who answered had this voice, calm, steady, with no judgment. She talked to him for 45 minutes, helped him find reasons to step back from that balcony. At the end of the call, she said, "You're going to be okay. I promise. Tomorrow, do one small thing that makes you feel human again. Can you do that for me?" He'd said yes, and slowly, he'd been finding his way back. He'd never forgotten that voice. "The crisis hotline," Richard said. 3 months ago, 2 a.m. on a Tuesday. That was you. Maya's eyes went wide. Oh my God! That was you! She volunteered at the crisis hotline 2 nights a week. It was the only therapy she could afford. She remembered that call. She remembered the man who'd sounded so broken. "You're okay," she said, and started crying. "You're okay!" "Because of you," Richard said. "Both times now. Because of you." Richard drove her home that night. When they pulled up to her building in Queens, he finally spoke. Why didn't you tell me you were struggling? With respect, sir, you never asked. The truth of it sat between them like a weight. Here's what happened next. Richard Sterling could have just given Maya money, but he did something different. First, he paid off Maya's mother's medical debt. All of it. $200,000. Then he paid for Maya to finish her nursing degree. But here's what really matters. He also instituted new policies across all his restaurants. Living wages, healthcare benefits, mental health support, education assistance programs. I built an empire by not seeing the people who made it possible. That ends now. His daughter called him a week later. Dad, I'm proud of you. It was the first time she'd said that in 5 years. Maya graduated nursing school 8 months later. Richard attended the ceremony. She works at a hospital in Manhattan now. ER trauma nurse, using her gifts to save lives every single day. And once a month, she and Richard have dinner at Sterling's, not as boss and employee, as friends. So here's why I told you this story. We live in a world where it's easy to be invisible. We walk past hundreds of people every day and never really see them. Maya Carter served people for years who never knew she was a veteran, who never knew she was carrying trauma and working herself to exhaustion to save her family. Richard Sterling was surrounded by people who saw his money but never saw his pain. Both of them were invisible, until one extraordinary moment when they finally saw each other. Here's my challenge. This week, really see someone, learn their name, ask them how they're doing, and actually listen. The person who seems ordinary might be extraordinary. The person who seems fine might be falling apart. Maya didn't panic during the robbery because she'd learned that staying calm in crisis is an act of service. Richard recognized her voice because she'd helped him survive his worst moment. That's the power of truly seeing another person. If you like this story, hit that like button and subscribe for stories.